Sure. A bit of background about me. I was born in Thailand. I'm ethnically Indian. I grew up all my life in Singapore, and I'm Singaporean. Now I'm studying the UK for the past year and a bit, and it's been a great journey. I
Mhm,
think for me, a big influence throughout my schooling has been the importance of extracurriculars and service that was
mhm,
instilled in me throughout my education as well as in family from my parents. The importance of giving your time to help others in some way, whether that
mhm.
is other humans in your community, other people, or
Hello and welcome once again to Say Something with Mads. This week, I am excited to introduce another youth. He is joining me from UK, Vivek Venkatraman. He's a student, he's studying in Warwick, and he is passionate about food reforms. And we have a lot on the plate today. Welcome, Vivek. Welcome to my channel. How are you feeling today?
I'm good, Madhavita. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
All right. Vivek, let's start from who Vivek is. Where did you spend your childhood? Now you are studying in UK, but let us take us back through how you were as a student, what kind of school you went through, and then to your 12th grade, and after that, why you chose this university. Just a bit about to know the audience about more about you. Yeah, over to you.
Yeah, sure. A bit of background about me. I was born in Thailand. I'm ethnically Indian. I grew up all my life in Singapore, and I'm Singaporean. Now I'm studying the UK for the past year and a bit, and it's been a great journey. I
Mm-hmm,
think for me, a big influence throughout my schooling has been the importance of extracurriculars and service that was
mm-hmm,
instilled in me throughout my education as well as in family from my parents. The importance of giving your time to help others in some way, whether that
mm-hmm.
is other humans in your community, other people, or animals, sentient beings as well. So that was a big influence in my childhood. After that, I did 2 years of national service in Singapore, um, and then came here to Warwick.
So tell me, how were you as a child? If you remember any particular incident during your school life, which you think go back now, when you look back, you think that that was a turning point in my life. Was there any teacher who influenced you to be who you are apart from your parents? School life is a very important phase of any childhood, any person, any youth when they look back upon. So go back and think about anything which you think has impacted you, left a mark on you, good, bad, it could be anything.
Hmm. Yeah, I think for me it would have to be my principal in high school. She was really supportive of any causes that I was passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
Continued to stay in touch with me after I graduated. And I think it's the teachers who don't only see you as a student a student who's there for 2 years, but who invest in you and celebrate your successes and are there when uh, things don't necessarily go the way you anticipated. I think they're the
Mm-hmm.
ones that have an impact.
Very beautifully put, being a teacher for so many years. These are the words which I think will gladden any teacher's heart to see that, yes, you remember them fondly. And of course, we also, as teachers, remember some of the students not because of their marks, because of the way their attitude was. What did they do? Maybe they were very naughty, maybe they were very shy at the time, but they have changed a lot over the years. And that's a beautiful journey. Thank you for sharing that. Now, moving on to your journey now in Warwick. So, I see you doing a lot of things. So, tell me this, since the time you joined here, you have been a part of a lot of organization, a lot of activities in college. So, how has been this last 2 years, and what are the other activity, the extracurricular activities you have taken part in, and you are really um, following your passion, I must say, about you said no, you wanted to work for global food reform system. So how has it last 2 years been?
I think for me, the conversations I've had with people who know a lot more than me, experts in fields such as food system reform or any kind of development finance or members of international organizations. I think consistent theme that I've heard is that yes, these organizations may be a bit slow to move, but then when you are able to create institutional change, it can have a great impact. And that's really been the focus of my past year and a bit, past 2 years at uni. Uh,
Hmm.
I'm currently a second year philosophy, politics, economics student. But alongside that, I'm an undergraduate fellow at the Warwick International Higher Education Academy. So we're
Hmm.
working on trying to make learning and teaching more applicable and interactive. And it's the
Hmm.
first institute across the UK to do so. So it's really a privilege to be part of this group of people who are passionate about how do you make teaching more interactive, more applicable to the real world. And I saw the impact of that last year when I worked part-time on a module on the interdisciplinary perspectives on food. So creating this module together with two other student co-creators, as well as the directors group at the university. It
Hmm.
was great to bring it to life, to bring these issues to life, but create a module that is more interesting for students to take part in and also scale that impact across the institution. And similarly, at the Warwick Economic Summit, I've I've found that an impact can be made when you scale it at the institutional level, but also at the global level. It's the largest student-run conference in Europe, bringing world leaders from across the world to uh, University of Warwick, and we're having the youth engage in discussions with them. Last year, I fondly
Hmm.
remember a conversation with Prime Minister Samir Al Rifai from Jordan, and he was talking about uh, many of the uh, constraints that the country of Jordan has taking so many refugees, and talking about how it's really important for world leaders to have more of a compassionate stance. And I think that was really eye-opening for me that leadership is not just about leading
Hmm.
people in the traditional sense, but being compassionate. And I've tried to take those learnings across to um, my advocacy, as you mentioned, in global food system reform. Last year, I had the great opportunity of attending the Good Food Conference in San Francisco as a scholar of the Good Food Institute, where I engaged in many discussions on the topic of sustainable alternative proteins. We know for a fact that animal agriculture is a leading cause of greenhouse gas emissions. It
Hmm.
accounts for majority of the world's farmland, 83% according to the largest meta-analysis, yet it only gives us 18% of global calories. So, using those insights, we ran a
Hmm.
campaign earlier this year last year at the University of Warwick to transition the campus to plant-based by the year 2027, 2028. And that's been an incredibly rewarding campaign, definitely stressful at times, but the vote passed successfully. And uh, we've had amazing conversations since then. So I'm really glad that in this journey, I've learned about the impact that you can have in the people around you, as well as in the wider community at an institutional level, as well as the global impact that many of us can have.
Right. Very fascinating. As you were talking about this, my mind was like, okay, he's talking about plant-based. You are talking about moving, enlightening people, talking about how it can be done. So, what when you're talking, when you're attending these conferences and you bring back those learnings to your college and you start something, how is the response? Do people think that these things are possible, or how many years it will take for to convert? Practically see these things everywhere in every food shelf, every food plate, everywhere around. You can talk about is there any timeline? Is how is the mindset of people? Are they still hesitating to try it out? Or talk a little bit about this as like a layman. How would you explain it to me?
Sure. Yeah, I think generally, speaking with students across the campus, there have been positive reception. Definitely, where I experience more, I guess, criticism and apprehension was on
Taste.
online TV outlets such as GB News and Talk TV, where I appeared in those outlets and was asked to contribute to discussion about our vote. There was a lot of backlash from the presenter there, but I think
Mm,
I would say this is fabricated backlash, right? When I speak to people who, first of all, acknowledge the existence of the climate crisis, they understand the need to make such transitions, but also
mhm,
products are improving. Um, Things are improving based on taste. Recently, we've seen multiple governments commit to plant-based transitions, such as Denmark and South Korea, have both put forward a plant-based roadmap for increasing
mm,
plant-based options in both countries. Singapore has done a lot of investment in the space, as well as Germany and the US. So I think
mhm,
that governments are understanding the need for this change. Things are
mhm,
improving in terms of taste, and that's one thing that people do bring up. And I agree, things need to innovate in this space for things to get better. And subsidies are aligning to transfer resources into this industry. So
mhm.
hopefully we will see more growth. And I'm not entirely sure about the timeline, but I think
Yeah.
we can be hopeful because
So as you said,
that seems to be
many
what we
big,
see.
sorry, many big players, many big countries are taking part in this. Moving on to my next question is, you said you want to bring uh, social entrepreneurship by your profession. So, what you are studying philosophy, politics, and economics. What do you aspire to be? What is your area of profession going to be? And how do you see it seamlessly blending with your mission of food sustainability?
Yeah, I think there are many different paths that one can take that don't necessarily that don't directly go to where you want to be. For
Mm,
me, I found great value in engaging in policy making in the policy angle, not necessarily in food systems specifically, but in other areas. Recently, I was in Barcelona for the International Youth Conference as a youth fellow of the International Youth Think Tank, and we engaged in 4 days of policy making to try to improve the state of democracies, to make them more responsive to the needs of citizens, but
mm,
also create systems that will improve democratic turnout. Because I think the lack of participation in democracy is a huge issue. So that doesn't directly relate to my goal of food systems transformation, but I think I gained a lot of skills there that will
mm.
help me in my future endeavors. And it's also an issue that I'm passionate about because at the end of the day, a person can be passionate about multiple things.
Yeah,
So
true.
sometimes
Absolutely.
I enjoy exploring such opportunities. So I think that really relates to my future career goals. I
Mm-hmm.
see myself getting experience in um, maybe a corporate environment, ideally in the
Okay.
policy and business development angle,
Mm-hmm.
taking those experiences on the operational side at a firm that's established, that's been running for hopefully more than a few more years, and taking that experience into the field of sustainable proteins, the field of alternative proteins, because I think that's where my long-term passion comes in.
Oh, right.
So I think there are different ways that one can make a change, either within
Mm-hmm.
an established organization, such as you have companies such as Cargill innovating
Mm-hmm.
in alternative proteins. You have
Mm-hmm.
many different businesses. McDonald's is also innovating. Uh, I think if you find your niche within those firms, you can scale your
Mm-hmm.
impact, but you can also do it at
Mm-hmm.
at a specifically like at a
Right.
dedicated company. So I think there are different
Mm-hmm.
ways to go about it. At the stage, I want to go where I can learn the most and then see where that takes me.
Right. All right. I was going to ask you about IYTT. How did you get involved in that? And you said you attended a conference in where did you attend in San Francisco? San Francisco? No,
In Barcelona.
in Barcelona. Yes. So, how did you get involved in that? And is it what did you learn out of this, and how are you going to continue with this youth engagement? So talk about IYTT a
Yeah,
bit.
sure. So IYTT was an opportunity that I heard about from one of my peers who attended the conference, got the opportunity to attend the previous year. There's an application online, so I just like read more into it and read their democratic handbook, which is their compiled list of proposals from every edition of the IYC conference, which is the youth conference. They've compiled it into one handbook, and that's what they bring to several international forums, such as the Athens Democracy Forum. They bring these proposals and pitch it as ideas that the youth have, but not just ideas themselves, but ideas that have gone through a research framework. So maybe they'll have a small pilot study, then there'll be a policy brief. Followed by that, there would be another test group, and then they'll scale it up to the end of the life cycle where they add that idea into a policy proposal. And they
Okay.
pitched that at these global forums. So I saw the impact that I could have within the IYTT. So even though the conference is done, I think it's very much a family that I've come to know better in the other 23 youth fellows who I got the chance to meet, understanding their aspirations, their passions, and continuing to contribute to policy proposals, to policy briefs, and opportunities that are there within the think tank.
Right. So, when you applied, what is the process of getting into it? If people who are listening, is it open to
Yeah,
anybody in the world? What is the age? What is the age barrier? Like how old you can be before you can join, or what is the maximum age limit? Can you just talk about this?
yeah,
People are listening
sure.
to it.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely an opportunity that everyone should apply for. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I just wanted to start with that. So this year's conference was in Barcelona in Europe, but I think next year their focus is the African continent. So
Okay.
they're encouraging people from countries in Africa to apply to the IYTT. I think so. That's going to be their focus. I'm not entirely sure whether people from outside the region can still apply, but I'd encourage people to check on that. From our
Mm-hmm.
conference, we had postgraduate students who were also there. So I really think that as long as someone is studying at that point in time, it should be they should be able to apply to the IYTT, and
Okay.
details may change for the next conference. So I'd encourage people to check online.
Did you go through any interview, or you
Yeah.
filled a form through the college? Was it nominated through the college, or you did it do outside the college?
I did it outside the college. So
Mhm.
the main part of it was, I believe there were some questions that you had to answer, as
All
well
right.
as a presentation pitch. So
Mm-hmm.
that pitch was talking about my journey, how how me living in different democracies has impacted my worldview, and how I'd like to
Okay.
contribute tangibly to the conference. So talking
Mm,
about what I can learn from IYTT, but also
mm,
what I can hopefully add to the conference as well.
mm. Sure. Okay. Uh, ask you something different now. What is that one quality you admire in yourself, and something which you think that it's not so good? I think I need to overcome that quality in yourself.
Yeah. Uh, I think, what do I admire? Hmm. I think my perseverance. Um,
Okay.
and for that, I'd have to thank my mom. She's really
Mm-hmm.
pushed me to be perseverant, and that's now quality that's been instilled in me. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, let's say if a door shuts, right? If I get rejected by a company for an internship, I'll just maybe apply to five more places. Uh, I'd
Okay.
move on quickly and persevere. I think
Mm,
that's one thing that my mom
mm,
has coached me on, how
mm,
to remain resilient in the face of hardship. And in the army as well, that's something that I grew on, as
mm,
well as in the recent expedition to Kilimanjaro. That
mm,
mental ability definitely helps. One area which I'd like to improve is my ability to time block. So I think the risk of doing multiple things um, as extracurriculars or in university as a university student is that you have to set boundaries, and
mm,
one way of doing it is with your time. But
mm,
of course, when let's say I block a particular time out, but then there's some urgent communication that needs to be done for the
mm,
summit, which is around the corner now.
mm,
I'm not able to fulfill
mm,
that that guideline that I've set for myself, and I think that ruins your productivity, but also ruins your ability to get into the flow state, which is something I'm
mm,
trying to improve on this year. So while I really enjoy my work with the summit, my work with uh, in different capacities and different roles, I think I have to really think what aspects of my interest are going to be conducive with my productivity,
mm.
with my ability to grow as a person.
Right. You can't take too many things because you are
Yeah,
able to do it. Too many things on your plate. You can't be
yeah,
too greedy to do, but you
for
won't be
sure.
able to do justice. I think that's something which with age you will realize at this young age you might give it all a try. Right. Tell me if you have to undo any one incident of your life till now, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I have to just give it a
Yes.
like a short bit to think about that.
Yes, please go ahead. Think.
Sure. I think for me, it would have to be during my college applications. Um, it was it was quite an intense process, I'd say, in my school. Everyone was quite interested in talking about college applications. You get advice from many people, from maybe your friends, your parents, of course, as they're your guardians, but also a lot of aunties and uncles
Mm,
would advise me about what to do. So listening to uh, multiple people, taking everyone's comments, and making a decision based on that, I
mm,
think that for me was not the wisest thing to do in terms
mm,
of planning my application strategy. According to advice I'd hear, I think sometimes you
mm,
have to be able to filter the noise out. Something I've gotten
mm,
better over the years with a bit
mm,
of time to
mm.
understand what comments you can constructively take and change some part of your life, or change the way you approach things for the better,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
also what to filter out,
yeah,
and keep going with what you know is correct.
absolutely. Such a beautiful answer. I think everyone goes through this. Too many people, too many things they're saying, and you don't know whether you are doing the right thing. Tell me, you mentioned about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. So, were you always into fitness when you were young? Since you always mentioned army, so I have two questions. You can take it either one, the way you want it. What you do for your physical fitness and what you do for your mental well-being. How do you
Mm.
take care of these two?
I think that's a great question. For me, I can't say I'm the most physically fit. I used to be more fit in the past, but I think
Mm,
my approach has transitioned to focusing on my mental fitness, and what I'd call as mental fitness is mental fortitude for me, um, and that is the ability to function under um, some pressure.
mm,
And for an approach I took in the past was taking a power nap right after lunch, and that really helped me. But an
mhm,
area that I'm starting to explore, which I think there's a lot of benefit in, is meditation. just
Mm,
for 15, 20 minutes. There's this guided meditation track on Spotify. So I've been playing that every so often, just to reset
mm,
my mental space, get rid of that fatigue, and also bring a bit
mm,
of mental clarity. Because
mm,
with when you're thinking about a lot of things, you start to
mm,
lose clarity in each and everything. So a bit of that meditation helps. One more thing that I found really helps, the second thing. So meditation is probably my first. Second thing that really helps in terms of my own mental well-being has been journaling. So just reflecting, anytime I go through emotions or have experiences that I think there's something I can dissect in, I
mm,
will go to my journaling app and just write down a couple of sentences of my reflection. And then over
mm,
time, you can see yourself grow and reflect on how you
mm,
dealt with previous situations. So it's
mm,
really great to have that continuous path for you
mm.
to build upon.
So you are a more app-based person. You are not a paper and pen journaling. You go to the app and write. Wow, this is a
Yeah. So
modern
so
Gen Z.
yeah. In fact, one of my professors um, asked me to get checked in school to see if to because he said my handwriting looked as if someone was tipsy and they were writing on the paper. So he asked me to get it checked medically, and then I found out that my handwriting is medically eligible, which I think they should have known a long time ago. But I just find it easier also to organize things digitally,
Hmm.
and you can edit things, which is what I like. Because
Ah,
maybe what I thought at that point in time is completely wrong. I'll wake up the next morning and say, wait a minute,
okay.
the way I acted then may not have been the most optimal decision, and,
That's
and then I can
amazing.
edit stuff. So yeah, I enjoy that.
You know, when I speak to youth so very often, almost 3 to 4 interviews per week, and when I ask this question, I often come across young people talking about meditation, and that just blows my mind away. I am struggling to, at this age, also to meditate, and I see young people with so much on their plate actually making meditation a priority, and I think that's so wonderful to see. A few years back I wouldn't have expected this from young people, but now they're more thinking inward person. Whatever is
Mm.
the social media doing, I think this is the one of the best things to have happened through social media, through these channels, these apps. They are really helping, right? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think one thing that a friend of mine told me as a joke was maybe we should disconnect to connect, and that was
Yeah,
really profound for me, and really
yeah.
speaks to the value of meditation, because these devices sometimes can be a bit much and can distract you. They can
Mm.
just make you focus on the short term, and then you lose sight of what you're actually, if you have a goal, if you have like a longer vision or something. Yeah.
Okay. I
Hmm.
found this conversation very interesting, Vivek, but now I want to ask you another interesting take on you are going to a dinner and you want to take 3 people for your dinner party whom you have never met. You have never met them, but you want 3 people on your dinner table. Who would those 3 people be?
Yeah, I think I'd have to think about this.
Yes, go ahead.
I think for me, uh, one would be Robin Williams, the comedian
Okay.
who passed away,
Yes.
not that recently, but I think a couple of years ago. He
Yes.
was someone who I really saw as embodying his mission. He speaks about uh, taking care of those around you, always makes people laugh. And one anecdote that I read about him was in any movie that he acts in, he speaks to the director to try to get people who are homeless to act in that movie as well. So we don't know these things about
Oh, right.
personalities, but someone who I view as compassionate, but also an inspiration for me. I'd say another one is Lewis Hamilton. Uh,
Mm,
he's uh, he's vegan, of course, but is is an incredible athlete who
mm,
walks his talk, and that's
mm,
something I really respect. Someone who stands for something, uh,
mm,
and excels in that area of life, also in other areas, uh, and holds the value of compassion as one that is dear to them.
mm.
Yeah,
One more.
and yeah, I think those are two that I can think of
All right.
right now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
We'll leave
I'll
that
let you
bus
know if
place.
I but if
Yeah, we'll
someone
leave that
if I
bus
see
place empty
yeah
on your
sometimes
deserted.
it's I find sometimes it's better to leave the spot empty, and then life spontaneity can make you
Absolutely right.
can help you meet someone who you've never met before.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's a great answer, Vivek. And thanks for sharing that anecdote about Robin Williams. I never knew about him. So that's awesome. So I think we have come to that part of the interview when you get to ask me a question. It's a role reversal. Do you have a question for me? Shoot.
I think for me, I'd love to know what made you start this this project, interviewing youth from around the world. Where do you what made you start it, and also where do you see it going in the future?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Though I've been asked this question multiple times, but I never tire of saying this again and again and again, is that I didn't start it with the purpose to serve this world. I started it because I wanted to learn from youth. What are they doing? What kind of, it was a very selfish reason. I said, I'm a teacher, but I was teaching only 50 students in a classroom. How do I connect to the world? During the pandemic, things started changing. So I left my job and I started doing a lot of other things which I never could do. And I willingly gave up a very well paying job to do this, which is absolutely is about connecting people and knowing my energy comes from each one of you. And at the end of the day, when I reflect what I learned today from youth, I would have never learned it ever from anywhere else. So this channel is giving me the most satisfaction. And in turn, if I can bring a change, or maybe that person when talking to me opened up and realized something, some spark in themselves which they had forgotten about them, maybe in the hustle bustle of life. And maybe that connection I make with each one of them keeps this growing. And where I see this, I want to see this as the biggest platform of youth talk show. When people say, have you been to that channel, you should be there. So that's where I aim to be. Maybe it takes 5 years, 10 years, but one day people are going to say, have you been to that channel? If not, you should be there. That's my aim.
Definitely, that's great, and I've had a great conversation with you as well. I think I've probably reflected more on areas that I never knew we would even touch upon, but but also learned a bit more about you and yourself as a person, because I think LinkedIn only says so much about a person. When you meet them
Exactly.
and have a conversation with them, you learn
Yeah.
the aspects that make them who they are.
So, thank you so much. We had a lovely conversation, and I wish you all the best for all your future endeavor. And keep in touch. And I wish to see you bring changes in this world, in your chosen area, and hope to make this world a better, sustainable place to live in for all of us in future. Thank you, Vivek, for being on this channel.
Thank you, Madhupita.